I can do it on meeting. I can do it.
Oh, thank you.
And we,
Lissa Shy. Lissa Shy. Okay. Renee?
So fun. Put your smile.
No? No, that was last month. That's last month. No, I brought it.
so you're really
Hi, Chase.
cutting down.
Okay, come on around.
Oh, shoot. 7 days. 7 days. And I have 7 absences left. So, for me. Just kidding. Yes, I'm so excited. And summer.
Did you give that change to
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
$10 to Jenny, got it. Oh, can you write that down?
I'm not sure my hands are old,
Right there.
but I'm sure the outside weather is not looking just fine.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long evening. We're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I've heard.
Okay, so I just did
Would you like me to bring this?
go into
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
I'm in the student government class, so that works out easy.
not
Not so it's
the beginning.
at the beginning.
Oh no, you're okay. A lot of people have.
We might do it, just so you know.
Okay. But it's Oggenog.
They said that the meeting before was an hour and a half.
Okay.
They've been How long
So
is
it's
the meeting going to be?
IN.
I don't know. It could go, we're starting. It could go.
Hi.
I'm going to
Can we amend the
Aganaga and a Chase.
Perfect.
Chase.
Yep.
Aganaga.
First try right there.
If I have to stay down, you're a lot younger than me. I mean, you could stay awake. No.
That was my old ward. Yes, it was. Right on.
That's not.
Love it.
Lisa.
You're in a good place at the fort.
Lisa.
We won't have to be here for your time.
You can still up there though, right? Was that your house?
And if you ask, we'll show you.
The
don't
house
ask.
with that
Okay.
next.
All right, good.
No. Yeah. My parents still own it. They rent out. And that's where we used to.
there.
Oh, okay.
So we would have been neighbors
Yeah, we
basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys from Century?
both of you? What is it? You just pull up a chair here.
I'm just supporting.
You're just
I
what?
did.
Oh, okay. You don't want to sit here.
No.
Okay. Emma Watts.
My brother came home to a completely new house.
Not even up yet.
Are we ready to go?
You bet.
Okay, let's do it.
They're all quiet.
Yeah, they are. Hereby call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all of you for joining us tonight. And we'll lead up tonight with our pledge, and that is with Lisa Shy. Did I say it right?
It's Lissa, but you're good.
Alyssa?
Just Lissa.
Lissa. Oh, well.
My parents had to give me a
Sorry.
complicated name.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Please rise. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. The board is here tonight. Thank you very much for being here. And our student representatives, so we have a full house. Let's see, we have a few addenda items on the for tonight. Human resources report, camp requests, and bid awards. And then first off, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addenda.
Chair, I move that we approve the agenda with the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next on the agenda is to approve the minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the minutes. Was there something else? No.
No?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is to approve the consent calendar, which includes authorizing the payments of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the human resources activities.
And
Yeah.
There's one more,
Mm.
Mr. Chairman.
And what is the one more? Oh,
Northwest Nazarene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at it on here.
I move that we approve the consent agenda
I'll
then,
With that, then?
with that.
Oh, okay. And there's a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is Ms. Fisher for recognitions.
Hello, good evening. So I'm here to recognize, on behalf of the school district and the Board of Trustees, several members in our community and our school community that represent the district and our mission to do more together on a daily basis. Through their endeavors, have supported and embodied our mission, vision, belief, and goals to think, learn, and be more together. So first up, I would like to invite Ms. Leslie Shy to please join me at the podium. Thank you for being here this evening. So we invited Mrs. Shy to be here this evening. She has represented the children in our community through her efforts in PTA for more than a decade. I believe it's like 15, 14 years. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. Idaho PTA represents more than 120 schools and over 9,000 members across Idaho. Ms. Leslie Shy joined her local PTA at Chubbuck Elementary in 2005 when her oldest daughter started kindergarten. She went on to serve as the membership chair and the secretary for Chubbuck's PTA, and in 2010, she was elected to serve as the Region 5 director on the Idaho PTA Board of Directors, which serves schools in the Pocatello and Southeast Idaho area. After that, she served as her Idaho PTA secretary, president-elect, and finally president of Idaho PTA for the 2017 to 2019 term. About her experience, Ms. Shy wrote, "I have been privileged to advocate before the Idaho legislature on behalf of Idaho's kids, asking for increases in education funding and teacher pay, improvement around children's health and safety issues, and funding for early childhood education. I had the opportunity to serve on several work groups at the State Department of Education as the Every Student Succeeds Act was implemented, and served for 2 years on the State Superintendent Ibarra's Parental Advisory Committee. For the last 3 years, I traveled to Washington, D.C. to advocate for increases in federal education spending and school safety initiatives. I also served on the National PTA Constituent Advisory Council and National Council of States." We would just really wanted to recognize Leslie for her efforts and her behind-the-scenes work. This is work that often goes unnoticed and uncelebrated, and it's very important and critical work to not only our learners in our district, but across our region and across the state. So will you please join me in thanking Leslie and also congratulating her on her efforts and successes. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I have this for you. And I also, thank you so much.
Oh, are you still staying here? Are you retired?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
The District Education Foundation, in partnership with McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize students who show great character. The Learner of the Month, or CAKE Award, recognizes one elementary learner and one secondary learner every month from October through May during the school year. The CAKE Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. In addition to being recognized here at the monthly board meetings, the recipients also receive cupcakes delivered to their classrooms to be enjoyed with and among their peers. Nominations for the CAKE Award
are submitted by a teacher who has observed the learner's behavior firsthand and are approved by the school's principal. So with that, we're going to recognize our elementary learner, Ms. Jasmine Vesser, and her school counselor, Miss Heidi Wood. Is Heidi here? Miss Wood here? Please join me at the podium. Thank you for being here. So Jasmine is a 5th grade learner, and she attends Washington Elementary School. And her school counselor, Miss Wood, wrote a nomination letter for her. And these are chosen by the Education Foundation Board of Directors. In her nomination, Ms. Wood wrote, "For me, one of the most rewarding elements of being a counselor is when I see my students put into action what we have been practicing and learning in classrooms. At Washington, we focus on the 7 habits of happy kids: kindness in action and healthy relationship skills. We had been practicing habit 4, think win-win, everyone can win. During the previous month, I began a new lesson focused on empathy and conflict resolution. We were discussing ideas of how students can resolve conflicts in healthy ways while also being mindful of the impact of empathy in relationships. The concept of kindly treating the person with whom you are in conflict was suggested by Jasmine. She tied that concept into habit 4, and she gave a personal example of how she used kindness and empathy at our school. Jasmine stated that a boy told her that her hair was ugly. Your hair is not ugly, your hair is beautiful. She promptly smiled at him and replied, "I think your hair is beautiful." What a great response. She explained to her class how her response turned a potential problem into a kind moment. She felt like she had created a win-win and solved conflict with kindness. I have used Jasmine's story in our school as an illustration of what a learner looks like who is solving conflicts by using empathy and kindness. Jasmine looks for ways to be kind to others. She is often the first to offer encouraging words, a smile, or to include others at recess. She is a deserving recipient of the Cake Award and a wonderful example of putting what she has learned into action with regarding kindness to problem solving. So I couldn't agree more with that, and thank you so much for being here and setting such an amazing example in front of your peers. In addition to being recognized here tonight, we're going to recognize you later this week with cupcakes in front of your peers. We think it's really important to celebrate this in front of your peers so that they catch on and model the behavior that you've modeled for them. In addition to that, this is one of my favorite parts. You're going to get a gift card from McDonald's, and your library is going to get a $50 gift card to choose books in your name, and you're going to be able to sign those books. So when anybody ever checks those books out, they'll see your name in those. So please join me in congratulating Jasmine. And I have a certificate for you, and I also have this slip for you. So thank you so much, Jasmine. Oh, Mrs. Wood, if you'll also.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for that. No.
It's just as important to recognize the nominator for recognizing the behavior.
Hi. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, next up we have our secondary learner, recipient of a Cake Award. Will Spencer Hill please join me up at the podium, as well as Miss Jody Diaz? Thank you for being here tonight. So Spencer attends Alameda Middle School, is in the 7th grade. Mrs. Diaz wrote a nomination letter, and in that nomination she wrote, "At the all-city track meet, Spencer ran his whole race helping and encouraging a student with special needs from another school. The race was a 1,600-meter run, and when the other student was going to quit, Spencer kept him going and ran all 4 laps with him." That's not an easy feat. When I talked to him after the race and thanked him for his kindness, he didn't really know what I was talking about. To him, this is just what you do, and it was nothing out of the ordinary, but it brought tears to the people watching the race. So Spencer, I was also at that track meet, and I noticed what you did as well, and I just want to congratulate you for just being a great example and an uplifting influence to your peers. And I also have this certificate for you and this bracelet. And you will also be recognized among your peers later this week with cupcakes that we'll bring to your class, and we've made arrangements to do that. You will also receive a gift card to McDonald's, and then your school librarian will receive a $50 gift card to purchase books in your name that you'll be able to sign, and anytime somebody checks those books out, they'll see your name, and you'll be recognized as long as those books are in the library. Oh, thank you so much for the example. Please join me in congratulating Spencer.
Dude, I have seen you smile so much bigger than that. Cute.
Hi.
Such a good kid.
Now we have our Employee of the Month, our Pies Award. The Employee of the Month Pies Award recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. This award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort, and ISU Credit Union partners with us in providing this award. Will Miss Natalie Van Leuven please join me at the podium? So Miss Van Leuven is a teacher at Hawthorne, right? And you teach computers. And she received an anonymous nomination. So in this letter reads, Natalie is the kindest teacher around. She's willing to help, and if Heidi, if you and Troy want to join us up here, you may. Since we have Hawthorne representation here, we'll call you up. Natalie is the kindest teacher around. She is willing to help any and all students. Her positive attitude is appreciated by her students and her colleagues. She manages to take time each day to make those around her feel special and appreciated. This is something that should not be taken for granted. She makes sure her students understand the material she is teaching and uses a variety of strategies to help them achieve their goals. It is her willingness and attitude that make her the person, teacher, mother, friend, employee that she is. She is truly amazing. So thank you so much for setting a positive example in our school communities. You're going to receive a $50 gift card. So here's that, and then the certificate, and a vacation voucher, which I will send to you. And then your school will get a $20 gift card for the nomination, so you guys can do with that what you want. And this is all on behalf of ISU Credit Union for the nomination. So please join me in congratulating this exemplary employee for the positive influence that she sets in our schools. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
Come on, Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
Okay.
Is that it? She's done? Okay. We told everybody there's out. Okay. Now it's time for public comment for items that are not on the agenda, and I have one request on Eric Stewart. Eric? Either one.
Okay. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Eric Stewart. I'm a candidate for School District 25 Board of Trustees, Zone 3. Just like to say that I understand that Jacob is currently the representative for Zone 3. I have no ill feelings towards Jacob. I appreciate Jacob and all of the members of the Board of Trustees for their service to education in this area. My philosophy is teamwork. A lot of people on this team, learners, teachers, principals, superintendent, administrative staff, board members, patrons, school bus drivers, school lunch, maintenance. My philosophy is we can all rise together. We all have roles to fill in this team, and I believe that we can have a win-win for all of us. The election will be held in November. I will support the person who receives the most votes in that election, regardless of who that is. So I care about people. I want you to all be successful. For me, caring is more about just a warm feeling in your heart. It's actually action. My life demonstrates caring about people, I have a resume I'd like to share with members of the board, and I look forward to making a difference. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Well, we don't comment. We don't comment, but
Okay.
good luck.
Thank you.
Oh. Let's see, now it's time for public comment on the preparation of the 2019-20 school district budget. And I have received no requests on this comment, so we will move to the next topic. Our first item is the student representative reports. And since Abby is the most experienced, would you go first?
Yeah.
From Highland High School.
Oh gosh. Our spring sports just finished, and we are so proud of our golf, track and field, tennis, baseball, and softball teams. Our girls' tennis took third at state, and tennis players Chloe Stoddard and Carter Fellows took second in state in the mixed doubles competition. And Cassie Stoddard took third in women's singles competition. We were very proud of them. On Monday, we had our Highland graduate celebration. Highland seniors have earned over $12 million in reported scholarships, and we were excited to see them pursue their goals after high school. And our drama students just performed Shakespeare's version of Macbeth last weekend, and we are so excited for graduation and summer.
Thank you, Abby. Next, we have from Century High School, Emma Watts.
Thank you. So, for the month of May, Century High School has been very busy. We have taken the $250 check from our 3-on-3 tournament to our local animal shelter to provide for outside kennels. We finished our AP testing and tested a total of 527 students. On May 11th, we had prom, and our theme was Enchanted Evening. On May 14th, we had our NHS member senior graduation. Yesterday, we had our senior assembly where we recognized our seniors and handed out senior superlatives such as best dress or best voice or stuff like that. We also recognized our spring sports team, cheer, yearbooks staff, wind ensemble, and concert band. Our girls' tennis placed second, and our Dequa Lang placed first in shot put with a personal record. Our yearbook staff received the National Yearbook Program of Excellence Award. 36 kids in wind ensemble and 48 in concert band received a superior rating at the music festival. Our NHS members have completed approximately 10,000 hours of service this year. This week we are having a spring into summer week where we dress up. For example, today was Twin Day, tomorrow is Groutfoot Day, and Friday is Beach Day. As a student council, we have been working extremely hard in designing personal stars for every student and staff member at Century High School. We will be putting them up tomorrow after school. I brought an example, so as you can see, this is from my freshman year. And it has funny, photography, piano, travel, and my zodiac sign, which is Scorpio. And there's also vice president when I was vice president freshman year. This Wednesday, we will be having an orchestra choir concert, and on Thursday, there will be a band concert. Our seniors will be finishing up their school year with finals Thursday and Friday on our 9th through 11th graders next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, from Pocatello High School, Chase Aganaga.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. We're working on it, buddy.
Yeah. So like the previous high schools, our high school has been really busy as well, and we have been very excited with all that we've accomplished this past year, and especially over the last couple weeks. So athletically, we took a softball team, both girls and boys golf, both girls and boys track, and we did pretty well this past weekend. Our softball team took third at state. Our girls golf team became back-to-back academic champions. Our boys track team took third, our girls track team took fifth, and within those we had a couple of titles that we took home as well. And yeah, so athletically it was a really good weekend for Pocatello High School. And then more on the academic side, we had 2 of our students qualify for the International Science Fair in Arizona, and those students are Haley Austin and Maddie Facer. Our Japanese students that are currently taking Japanese at our school are doing a video exchange with high school students in Japan, which I'm sure they're very excited about. 2 of our art students won an ISU art competition, and last night we had an award ceremony, and that was where we congratulated all of our NHS graduates, as well as did some individual awards, and it was a long ceremony, which means there was a lot of awards, which was a really good thing. And in ISU alone, our senior class, strictly on academics, received over $500,000 from ISU alone, which was really exciting and really cool to see. And we also will have a science fair coming up next Tuesday, and our student government actually won the Outstanding State Student Government Award, which as a member of student government, we are really excited about that award. And like all the other all the other representatives here, we have a lot of seniors that are graduating and a lot that are moving on to do really great things that we're looking forward to see. As a senior, I have a lot of things coming up, and I'm so excited to see what my peers will do, just because I know that they will excel so much just like they did in high school. And yeah, thank you.
Thank all of you for being here, and the ones that aren't here that you're replaced, thank them. This year we sure enjoy it. As a board, we love to hear what's going on in our schools. So thank you, and the 2 new ones know that this is the time you're excused, if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good summer.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye. I'm gonna take this one.
Yes. Thanks for taking that question.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for filling in.
Okay, Ms. Fisher here with a media report and community relations update.
Thank you again. It's been a busy time of year, so I will try to be brief. Lots of exciting things to report. There have been several instances and topics of interest in public purview, including social media, since my last report on April 16th. Selection of Stuart Johnson as assistant principal of Irving Middle School. Krista Campos, we've had a lot of new hires, and so that's been really exciting news to report that people have been very receptive to. Krista Campos as principal of Wilcox Elementary. Jody Prestwich as principal of Tyhee Elementary. The Your Fit set at Irving Middle School that happened this past month. Some of the national or the regional headlines were the state board approving dual credit fee increase, so we've been trying to communicate that increase to our parents, as well as the new 2-to-1 ratio. Updates to the Pocatello High School project have still been in the news, and end of year activities including graduation, and as well as the summer food program, which will be starting here shortly in June. On social media, we posted a total of 77 times on Facebook. We are at 7,519 likes with 8,255 follows. So we're slowly creeping up to that goal of 10,000 people in our community following us. Total post engagement, which includes comments, likes, and shares, was 22,904. Our page views was more than 2,000, and our total reach was nearly 24,000. We have 196 followers on Instagram, and we just kind of launched an impromptu campaign today to try to increase those followers by doing a random drawing giveaway with one of our More Together bottles. So we'll see how that exercise works to increase those. One of the more exciting things I have to report is we installed Google Analytics on our website. And this will really be a useful tool to be able to gauge website traffic as well as identify trends, and then figure out where we can increase efficiencies on the website, getting people to the data that they are looking for the most. There is so much data that is at our fingertips with this tool. Just to give you a preview, there were 64,000, almost 65,000 sessions between April 16th and today. About half of those are unique visitors. I'm going to be working with technology to try to identify which of those truly are hits, you know, because sometimes people have these web bots and they might hit your website. And so I'm going to try to really drill that down so we can have a great understanding of who actually is on our website, where are they, who are real people, and how we can use that data to improve what we're doing. About 45% of them are female, 54% are male, so it really drills down that data to demographics. It drills it down to age groups, which makes sense that 27% are 18 to 35-year-olds, so we have a student demographic, and then 33.5% are 25 to 34-year-olds. So that's the bulk of our users, which makes sense for who we serve. As far as community relations, we had some exciting things happening. In April, we celebrated Educator Appreciation Week throughout the district. Everybody wore their mission t-shirts on Tuesday, May 7th, which was just always a really exciting thing to see the district come together.
I wish you would have told us. I would have worn mine.
Oh, I didn't.
Think about that next year.
Okay.
I would have worn
Okay,
mine.
Renee and I will work together to make sure that you get notified on that.
Thank you.
We ended up getting cards from the Idaho Business for Education. They went out and got us $25 $10 gift cards to Fred Meyer, which we then went after hours to just surprise people out shopping in our community, whether it was at Fred Meyer or Walmart or the gym. And that was just such a great community building exercise. So I think it's something that we'll try to continue to do in the future, just to reward people for showcasing the district and wearing those so that we can really share our mission with the community. Several local business partnered with us on that endeavor, including the Idaho Business for Education, ISU Credit Union, Portneuf Health Trust, Sign Gypsies, Pony Express Car Wash, and we were able to, through those donations that we received, able to give more than 20 random gift drawings to people just to celebrate educators. And through that process, we invited educators to enter by sharing their why and sharing a picture with us via a form that we created. And we received more than 100 entries on those, and we've been sharing those stories. We'll continue to share them through the last day of school, just to showcase who our teachers are and share some personal insights into why they do what they do and dedicate their lives to education. We're calling that the Educator Spotlight. Mr. Bart Reed and Ms. Lisa Delanis and I presented at the Chamber of Commerce Local Issues on May 10th. And as a result of that meeting, we had a gentleman, Mr. Steve Seekert, owner of the Outback Golf Park, who made a motion to the chamber to publicly support the project and ask the chamber board to write a letter in support, which was published in the Idaho State Journal on Sunday, May 19th. And so that was a really great show of support from the chamber, and I think is carrying that message that we all know, because we hear it on a daily basis, that we do have not just business support, but widespread support for that project. We also announced the Terry Perkins Educational Scholarship through the Education Foundation, so we're really excited about being able to do that. So with gratitude to the Perkins Family Living Trust, our scholarship selection committee announced the inaugural recipients of that educational scholarship. The media release will go out tomorrow. The students have all been notified, and we are doing presentations as the schools have their last senior functions. So Pokies were presented last night by Christy Samuelson. I'm presenting Centuries tomorrow to the students in class. And then we will present Highlands at their senior brunch on Friday, May 31st. So I'll send you those, and I'm going to tell you their names right now. So this year scholarships were awarded to the following students. So from Century High School, Amanda White and Taylor Trulson. Highland High School, Nicholas Hillman, Annika Sorensen, and from Pocatello High School, Angelica Lovelace and Madison Villa. So, and then one more thing, I'm leaving from here to another community partnership is the LEAP program that is through the Chamber of Commerce. They are graduating 7 students from that program this evening. It is a Chamber of Commerce program that models the Pocatello Chubbuck Leadership Program. And it's new this year, and so for them to have 7 graduates in this first year is a great opportunity. So I'm going to go represent the district at their celebratory dinner, congratulate them, and see how we can continue that partnership with the chamber and the school district. So that's my report. If you don't have any questions.
I would just encourage you not to forget about New Horizons. They're graduates, I don't know how many they have, graduating from New Horizons.
Right, in regards to the scholarship?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so the Perkins family specified,
Oh, they
and
do?
they'd specified Pokey, Century,
And Highland.
and Highland, and so that is something that we are sensitive to and that we will be working on with that family to see if that we can include, or if we can just do a separate scholarship that ties into that somehow. But yeah,
Because
that,
it might not have even been there when we first did that.
absolutely, yep. But it was very specifically outlined for what the family wished, and so we've tried to follow in that first year as we rolled everything out. But it is something that we've talked about as a board and that we will address moving forward.
And I know they have their own scholarship.
Oh, your microphone over.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
I know they still have their NICE scholarship at New Horizons too. The Nye
Right,
family does.
Right, but that is an important thing for us to consider, and so
Yeah.
just so you know, it is on our radar and
Okay,
our target, so thank you
Great.
for your question.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Next on the agenda, the committee reports. Do we have any?
Well, I didn't see it in our minutes, but the curriculum committee addressed some interesting propositions for new classes. Made me want to go back to school. There's some neat things going to happen at Pokey High. At Judge Murray's meeting, there's always interesting things that come up in terms of things that are out there that trying to address how we work with students to help them be more successful when they have facing challenges and that sort of thing. And it's a good thing we have it here, because I was hearing that it doesn't happen this way up in the northern part of the states.
Good.
And I think I'd just like to mention too, our teacher retirement reception that we held last week for our teachers, and it was just really nice.
It was fun.
It was a fun night, and Superintendent Hal did a great job with his presentation, and everybody enjoyed it, and it was fun, and hopefully in the future we can get more of our teachers to be there, to participate that, because my feeling is you celebrate every special event in your life, like that. And so I just hope that the word gets out of how nice and how much fun it was, because it really was a very nice night. So, nice job for those of you who had any part of that.
Okay, now let's move on to the curriculum and instructional and school safety. First up, Lori Craney. Oh,
Yes.
you're right there.
Ready to go.
Okay, go.
First is the instructional technology update. So the tech newsletter is included in your packet and is self-explanatory. Summer unit development schedule. The schedule for the June unit development is also in your packet. K-12 ELA teams will be coming in June 4th and 5th. K-8 math teams, the 6th and 7th. High school integrated math 3 training and planning will be June 5th through 7th. Secondary social studies teams will be June 10th through 13th. And elementary GATE will also be June 10th through 13th. All of the sessions will be scheduled from 8:30 to 3:30 here at the district office, with the exception of integrated math 3, which will take place at Bonneville Center. And you're welcome to attend. It'll be a hopping place here those couple of weeks. Very, very fun.
If I can add to that, Mrs. Craney, Mr. Orr has had 2 other districts contact him about sending representatives to our district to see what we do and how we do it and why we do it so well. So we're excited to share.
Kudos to Chuck, then.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Those are exciting times. I mean, really, truly. If you have just even a few minutes, they won't pay much attention to you when you come. Their heads are down and they're all working really hard, but it's just so impressive to see.
Excuse me. Renee, would you send us a reminder of the dates? Sure. The dates, please. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Alternative route to graduation requests, item C, is routine. You have included in your packet a memo detailing alternate route to graduation requests for one learner at Century High School in ELA and math, one learner at Highland High School in ELA and math, School administrators have signed off that these students intend to complete the alternate route to graduation prior to graduation exercises, and the board will be asked to approve the request pending successful completion under action items later this evening. Next is the 21st Century After School Program update. Just very quickly, they've concluded for the year 2 weeks ago, and Ms. Case is attending trainings currently and finalizing plans for summer school, which will be June 11th through 13th and 18th through 20th at Wilcox Elementary. Next is the Head Start program update. The ERC report for April, the program is at full enrollment with 183 children. One child withdrew and enrolled at Fort Hall. This position has since been filled, and as there are less than 30 days before the end of the school year, really less than that, we are not required to fill any new vacancies there. Average daily attendance was up at 89.77%. The reason for absences, 38.36% were sick, 22% were other. On the wait list, there are 22 4-year-olds and 19 3-year-olds. For the non-federal share match, the waiver for $50,000 for the program year 2018-19 was approved. The adjusted non-federal share for 2018-19 is $285,010. In kind for the month of April was $32,162.74. Good. And year-to-date, $194,318.79. For personnel, the update on the openings for the 2019-20 school year, there are 3 teacher positions open. One person is retiring, one is relocating out of state, and one is going to another school. 2 teacher assistant positions and 3 family advocate positions. And then there are 4 bus driver positions, which are new positions, which I'm hoping we're filling, and that will be a wonderful addition to our program there. TANF state review was conducted on April 17th, and there were no findings. The state legislators visited the Lincoln Center on April 14th and 15th. Policy council members provided information, answered questions, and took legislators into the classrooms to read to children. And it was discovered that one of the legislators is a Head Start alumni, so that was kind of fun. Bus bids were open on April 14th for the 4 new Head Start buses. 2 of 3 were complete, and request to approve awarding of bids is under new business. Head Start's last day is May 24th. Right away. Okay. Idaho Food Bank backpack report, 845, it's in your packet there, 845 backpacks were distributed. A lot of those go out of ours into our children's hands or into our learners' hands. Next is the kindergarten registration update. You'll note in there that we have 741 students who are currently registered for our kindergarten program, and so that's the highest in 4 years that we've seen. So,
We usually get a lot more before school starts.
you know, I would imagine we'll be in the 900s. And I bet the higher 900s is where I bet we will
Of
be.
students,
Pardon? Yeah.
from 740 to 900?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
There will be that many more that will be.
How do you plan for that?
You know, we look every year. I know that we can.
You know where they're coming from.
Well, and you know, I've done the percentages, so I know at each school about what percentage register. Some of our schools, nearly all of the kids, all of our learners register in April, and some of them, they're very transient, very mobile, you know, so they register later, so you might see about, 60% or a little bit less, so you can kind of project out.
Okay.
So, and we have this,
Jump.
yeah, but it's traditionally about that. It's hard for us to get all of our numbers there. I don't know what I do to really throw my predictions off if we had all of them register early, because I predict that there will be more. But we do have we've been tracking it, and Ms. Jensen has tracked it probably for 15 years, so I can look and see, this is how many there were, this is how many showed up, this is how many registered through the. So we hope we're close in our predictions. And last in there, you have the amended 2019-20 school district calendar. When, after negotiations last week, a day and a half were added into the calendar. So a half day was added at the end on June 1st, which is a teacher checkout day, so it'll be a full day instead of a half. And then the 19th was added in as a non-directed professional workday. So teachers will be there a full week before students.
So was, on the calendar, there was some talk about election day being no students day?
There was. We brought that up to the calendar committee, and as we started talking about that, we know that this year maybe not as important, and it would require switching a lot of things around at this point when you have the calendar established. And so once we took a step back, we're like, we have a pretty easy, fix for this year with those times at either end. And then looking at it next year, that will certainly be a point of discussion as we prepare for the calendar, especially for the presidential election that's upcoming.
Well, and I think with our voting issues too, I think that's a
Absolutely.
way we really need to maybe look at solving that problem.
And we did have those discussions this year and but know that it'll be on the table when we start to work on the next calendar, which I think there are a couple of members of this team here will be on our calendar committee to bring that up. All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Anne's pushing you out.
She is. She has a tendency to do that. That's what happens when you work together.
A lot of years. So item I on your agenda is the summer school schedule and courses, and what you really have is the Google Doc that we're using, or the Google form that we're using to register our learners for summer school, and our counselors at both levels are filling out that Google Doc so that we have a pretty good idea of what our staffing needs are going to be. And one of the things we realized really quickly last week was that we needed more space than New Horizon afforded us. And so we're moving summer school to Hawthorne Middle School, where we'll be able to utilize some labs that have 30 computers, and we think it will serve our needs better.
But they still have to go to lunch over at New Horizon?
No, right now we've requested, I believe Food Service has requested that they change that site from New Horizon to Hawthorne Middle School.
Because in here I read it was going to be New Horizons, but they're working to.
This was a quick change, and Food Service has made that request.
Okay.
I want to make sure, check with the boss back here. I did notice that when we looked at the courses, there are some courses that are being offered twice, but we have very few learners, and so I think those will be combined, so this schedule may change slightly. Okay? The next item are the extracurricular participation fee report for 2018-19. And we do this at about this time of year, and so it's always helpful, I think, to compare to the previous year. You need to know, as of about a week ago, these numbers were even scarier. I'm a little, more than a little concerned about Century's numbers right now, and they were at 9,100 last week, and so this has come down. I did send a reminder email this afternoon saying, here's the areas that we need to pay attention to, and remember, we can't allow these learners into our summer program until they have cleaned up these fees. So Highland High School, they make a concerted effort through their camps to allow those athletes to help at the camps, to help pay their participation fees, and they are pretty vigilant all year, and so that number is not too scary. Pocatello High School's a little frightening, but again, it was worse last week than it is right now, but it's a couple of thousand higher than it was last year. And you can see which sports are presenting a problem. Some of this too is that the track season is just now wrapping up, and some families are on payment plans, and so these fees will continue to come in, and we expect our ADs to stay on top of it, and they will. Our middle schools always do a great job. I had to call Mrs. Bowley and let her know that Irving has some outstanding track, and she said she would follow up tomorrow and let me know. So could be that just didn't get reported. Any questions about those participation fees?
Well, I think we received a letter about some of our fees, and this was about debate, am I right? Debate fees?
Yeah.
And And they said that it was a required class. Now, debate isn't a required
It,
class.
it isn't, and so we have what we could call co-curricular.
Mhm.
And so, for example, we offer a marching band class, and then we also have marching band that is part of Idaho High School Activities Association. And there, if you choose to do the extracurricular, then you pay a participation fee that helps defray the cost of coaching, and then the transportation costs. Uniforms, yes. So again, students could take marching band, the class, and not be in marching band that competes. The same is true for speech and debate. You can take a debate class, but you don't have to be part of the competitive program.
Right, okay. So I don't know, did you get that letter?
I did not.
Okay, I might forward that to you just so you can address those issues with this person, because
I'd be happy to do that.
I think there was some misinformation there, and had some concerns about that. So do we?
Debate substitute for English class too, doesn't it, Jan?
Oh, yeah.
There's the communications class.
It substitutes something, right?
It
Meaning
meets the speech requirement. It does meet the speech requirement.
So that's probably where they're coming from with their.
Where it's
this is
required.
Oh, I understand. Right, and we charge a participation fee only to those students who choose to participate in competitive debate, which is an extracurricular, beyond the regular school day activity.
So do we have, are those fees paid up front, or do we have a report on those types of fees?
We have historically not included those in this particular report, but I would be happy to do that.
I'm just wondering if that's something we need to look at too, besides just athletics, some of those other fees that.
We have band that is included in this particular report, and band is one of those things that we track because of the expense associated with band. The other one that is not here are performing choirs.
Okay, so it just might be something to think about, so that
All right,
we could see where we're coming from. Thank you.
you bet. The next item are the out-of-state overnight travel requests. And you'll notice that the first item is from Pocatello High School, and that was the trip that our representative, Chase, referenced, where the two students from Pocatello High School were invited to attend an international science fair. And it was part of an Idaho contingency, 2 females with a male chaperone, and so we were able to then hook our team up with some other students from other districts in Idaho, so that we had a female chaperone with those students. And we asked that you approve that via email earlier in the month. And then the next item is an opportunity for our FCCLA students who competed at the state level and qualified for nationals. This is one of the CTE programs where the nationals happen in the summer. And so this year, we went ahead and included it on our out-of-district and overnight travel request report to you. And then the last item is the yearbook team from Highland High School goes to the Utah State University to participate in a camp. And so they will be traveling, and that's a misread on transportation. They will be on a bus, requiring all of our learners to be traveling via commercial transportation,
Not by private.
not by private. Any questions on out-of-district overnight?
And that is the copy of
Fee letter. I'll be happy to take a look at it and draft a response. Is that
Thank
okay? You'll be asked to approve those camp requests under action items. And the next item are the early graduation requests. I think that's right. Oh, no, camp requests. I didn't do camp requests.
No.
These were all camp requests that are going to happen this summer. I tried to make sure that we named the sport so you would have some idea of what the camp was. One was added late. It was this mini girls dance, Lassie's camp. And that particular camp, it was just added today, and so it's in your addendum. I am anticipating, just because I pretty much have insider information, that we're going to be asking you to approve a track camp. It's the Pocatello track camp. And there's always some confusion. You know, it's a track club, but we needed it on a camp form, and I did let that coach know, but I just noticed when I was looking at these that it's not in there, and it needs to be. So we'll get that added. We may have to email you. But it's really important. All three of our track coaches work together from our head track coaches from our high schools. And then they also use their athletes to work with the younger athletes. So it is really, really an exciting opportunity.
I have a question about
Sure.
that. No, as I was reading through this and I saw the anticipated net proceeds, you know, and I compare those and I look, and then I look at the rate per participant. And some of that concerns me, how high some of those are, because to me, the goal should be to help as many kids as can and want to have the opportunity to do those things. And just by how high some of the fees are with their net proceeds, you know, to that we're eliminating the opportunity for some kids, you know, to participate in these things. So is there ever a point where we can maybe set a limit? You know, I mean, just as a board, I'm thinking where we can set a limit to what they charge or how much they can make off of these. And I know they use them to help reimburse their programs, but some of these are more excessive, you know, than others. So
They are, and it is a concern. And I'll tell you that some of the camp costs are associated with what we have to pay the coaches who are helping run these camps. And some coaches don't expect that, but it is an opportunity to funnel money to our volunteer coaches who are not paid during the regular school year, who are helping here. The other thing that I noticed, and this is particularly true of Highland, is something like I'll use Pokey as my example, that girls basketball youth camp. They will use the participants, or the actual girls basketball team from Pocatello High School will be helping at that camp to pay for the expenses associated with their team camp. And that usually is how these things kind of feed each other. And you know, Travis Bell would stand here and tell you it is just constant fundraising to pay for programs. And so I don't have great answers for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you could make it equitable, because they're all different, you know, somewhat different. But it does concern me when I see some with a really high cost to them.
I share your concern. Okay? So again, you'll be asked to approve under action items. The next item in your list are the early graduation applications, and there really is only one this month, and that is for a student who is graduating 1 year early to go into the military. You asked last month if we would give you the totals so you can see the early grads, and so those in that 2018-19 total, they don't include the column that's furthest to the right, the full year early total, so you'd have to add those together to get that total of 93. So there's 87 essentially seniors who graduated early, and then 6 juniors who graduated early.
Because when I looked at our attendance numbers, you know, our high schools are down about 100 or something. So this
is where they are.
That's what I wanted to see.
This is absolutely why I never use, you know, this numbers at this end of this year to say, well, that's how big our school's going to be next year, because I know it's not.
Yeah. But it's nice to know kind of where they're going.
Yes.
You know, I mean. Okay.
So the next item is another routine item, and it's the use of district football helmets and pad request for summer camps. And this is an IHSAA requirement, and so you'll be asked to approve this request under action items. Once you approve, then I send a letter to IHSAA saying, yes, our board has approved this. And you'll notice that they're really strict about knowing the dates of the camps, and IHSAA really does hold our schools to this. Okay? Again, that will be asked to be, you'll be asked to approve that request under action items. The next item is a little bit interesting, is how I'm going to put it. And it is policy 8101, attendance of students. And our secondary administrators have been struggling with this particular policy over the last couple of years. And really, I think it reflects something that happened when Judge Murray said, you know, children are not required to attend school after they're 16. So what we had been doing was our learners, when they're absent from school, we're keeping track, and after they've missed 7 days, which is 10% of the trimester, then they're issued a truancy, which is a discipline code. And the next time they're absent, they're issued another truancy. And there are consequences, and then the third truancy, and then the fourth truancy, which is when attendance court would kick in, or truancy court. And so at that point in time is when, you know, we might get some help because a child will be placed on probation. But what happened is our 16 and over, which in some cases, these are sophomores, you know, they're 16. And so this system didn't serve their purpose well. And so we've been revising. And what you're looking at tonight are only the revisions to the policy. The bulk of the changes are really in the procedure. And so Ms. Johnson has been doing this all year, is helping us separate policy and procedure. And so really the changes that you're seeing tonight really are, at the top part of this, are really pretty routine. They're just kinds of cleans up of grammar and some consistency. You'll notice that we remove this unexpected absences. Parents have this mistaken idea that if they call in and let us know that their child's ill, that somehow that's an excused absence and doesn't accumulate toward a total of 7 absences, when in reality, it's any absence is included in that total. And so we got rid of that word excuse because it is getting us in trouble. And then what we did is we tried to define some of these words that we use routinely and that parents may need some help. And what we noticed is, in some cases, we're talking about an attendance code. So when if we went into Infinite Campus on any given learner, we would click on attendance and we would see these kinds of codes. And so if a student is tardy, you know, a teacher will mark a T in that particular class period, and that's an attendance code. And then we talk about these unexpected absences, and that's just a code where a parent has called in and said the child's ill, or we have a funeral, or there's some personal reason, and so it's an attendance code. And then the federal government has defined what does it mean to be excessively absent. And at the state level, they really are paying attention to what they call chronically absent students. And these are students who miss 10% of the school day or 10% of the class time. And so that is a discipline code. And so for a secondary student, it's about 10% or more of the available class time. And then for elementary, it's 10% or more of the school day. And then a child who is truant is an attendance code, and parents understand this. My child skipped school. And we also give truants for excessive absences or tardies, and it is absolutely an attendance code. And parents will say, but I knew where my child was, you know, we had a funeral, they were on a vacation, and, you know, so they weren't truant. But for us, yes, they were. It's an attendance code. And then when they have enough truants, we issue this thing called a truancy, which is a discipline code. And so we're grappling with this, and so this is our first attempt to kind of define these things for parents. And in your agenda description, Ms. Johnson included a reference to students with disabilities and our attendance expectations. And that involves some legal issues. And so we're waiting to really address that once we've had some legal advice that we're anticipating by next month. So you're just going to ask to consider this under first reading, and we anticipate there will be some feedback. In fact, Highland High School sent me feedback this morning, but it was too late, so.
Yeah, I can see where you can get some feedback on it.
It's a difficult topic, and we're really working hard to try to figure out a system that will work for us. So if that's it, this is my last time with you, so thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Don't cry as you go sit down.
I might.
Thank you.
Thank you. Business Operations, Bart Reed.
Thank you, Chairman Mattson, board members, and Superintendent Howell. I'm going to start off on a very positive note for the month of April. The Idaho General Fund Revenue Report is up $40 million, and as you know, April is the largest single-month collection for the state, and really it was a turning point. If it had gone the other way, we would have been probably $100 million short in our state budget estimates. But because of the fact it was up $36 million, we were only $40 million short, or 1.3% of the state budget. So that's good news going into the next fiscal year, and hopefully for the state legislature, and we just anticipate and hope that we'll continue to stay on that more of a positive note there. So. Next item is the free and reduced lunch percentages, and as you can see, we are sitting at about 45.5% for free and reduced meals. If you took a snapshot of last year, that's quite a change, but it's a good change in relation to the economy and how things are going. So we anticipate that we'll probably see much of the same for this following year. This will be the last of the bids that you will see for our regular and routine type items, and so I will quickly go through the majority of these. First one is our bread bid for our food service program, and you can see that Franz Bakery was the low bidder at $72,370, and you can also see why we bid, and we go out competitively when you look at the various prices there between those 4 different vendors there, and would recommend that the board would award that bid to Franz Bakery, and we have worked with them in the past, and they're a very good vendor. Next one is for school bus awards, and you know that we already did school buses once this year for this next year, but this is for the Head Start program. And Head Start wrote a special grant, and there are some various changes within that grant. One of those changes was for them to buy 4 buses and to provide their own transportation. And you may recall a number of years ago, Head Start used to have students transported to their program, but our transportation program did that and then charged Head Start back. In this case, Head Start is going to be doing their own transportation and driving, and the bid amount came in at, to Western Mountain Bus Sales of $242,972, and that is within the budget amount of the grant that was written. So we would recommend that the board approve that as well.
Will we be training the bus drivers that they hire?
Yes. So our transportation program will assist where they can possibly in this situation. So they will still have the same requirements, much of the same requirements as our regular bus drivers will have. They will need to be CDL tested and certified. And so our transportation department, they will participate in our training with our other normal drivers that we would have. And then there are some other requirements that they'll have to comply with at a federal level, but all of the training and some of the assistance and different things of that nature, we'll do as much as we can with the transportation department, but they will be responsible for their own drivers and getting those students to and from their home to school.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is for fresh fruits and vegetables, and there are actually 3 vendors shown here in the amount of $95,485.25. And again, these are not set amounts, these are just estimates based upon what we've used in previous years for the totals. Almost missed one. Pardon me? Yes, we had, we received bids from 2 vendors, and it does say 3 now, as corrected in the addendum. Thank you, Renee. Next one is for various food items throughout the school year, and you can see that there were 31 vendors that we invited to bid. We actually had 12 vendors who did bid on that, and I think 11 of those 12 vendors were awarded part of that bid in the amount of $1,775,295.34, and we would again request that the board would approve that. Next one is for what's called small wares in food service, utensils, those types of items there. You can see the 4 vendors that represent the low bid in the amount of $3,733.75. Next one is for our food service supplies, and these are various paper supplies, etc., from the various vendors that are shown there. And there were 9 vendors that we received bids from, and I think all 9 of them received part of that in the amount of $237,544.50. And the next one is for our instructional supply bid. These are items that we house in the warehouse for instructional purposes. And this bid amount is actually down about half of what it has been in the past. And I think the reason for that is that a lot more purchasing is done online, and the prices are just as competitive, or sometimes not even more competitive than what we can have in the warehouse. And so you will see those various vendors represented there in the amount of $85,181.26, and we would recommend that the board would approve those bids to those vendors. And then the last bid in this packet is for our milk bid. And it is not unusual that we just have the one vendor bid on this, which happens to be Marigold here in Pocatello. And the amount for those various 1% or skim milk or the various flavors of milk, etc., $448,280, which is a lot of milk mustaches there with our kids that we have in school. So strawberry milk, that's right, strawberry and chocolate, that's the best. Lastly, we have done this the past couple of years as we have ran our wellness program in our district. Any of the excess funds, we have recommended to the board that gets transferred to our VIBA trust fund. Right now, we have currently 3.1 years of funding at $175,000 for wellness benefits and medical benefits there. And this would bring that up to about 3.7 years, just short of 4 years of funding for that fund to be able to remain active. And so we would recommend that the board would approve those transfers of fund from the wellness program to the VIBAS trust fund. Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And, employee services, Sue Pettit. You can do it all.
How are ya?
Fine.
So, Carl gave you guys stuff about the student enrollment, and you can see the trends that's going on there. We're about 120 kids above what we were last year, at the end of the year. So, that's what I can tell you about student enrollment. Our wellness dashboard, we are doing really, really well for the last couple of months on our percentages. It was around 50% this last month. So, very well. And we're getting more and more people finishing up their 5 components for our wellness requirements, and they have a little bit of time left to do that. For human resources, this is the board meeting that we ask you to delegate the authority to the superintendent to hire through the summer months so that we can get people hired. And that will be an action item, and we're going to ask that you approve that action. At the last time I spoke with you, you had asked me how many master educator premium we'd submitted so far. So far I have 33, and I'm getting about 3 or 4 a day. So it's going to go up. It's just, right now we're at 33, so.
Is there a deadline for that, Mrs. Pettit?
They have to have it submitted by the end of June.
Okay,
But
so there's still,
the state board sent an email out today saying, please get them to submit now, so that we can get them to the raters. And each portfolio is read by 3 different raters, and then they're scaled after that. So,
and then give how many?
So many get that master.
They have a specific amount of money set aside for it, and if you divide what it is, it's about about 10% of the teachers in the state that would be eligible for it, is what they've agreed to fund, but I don't, who knows? So if, I'm expecting if 10% of our teachers, it would be about 68 people would turn it in, but I haven't got that yet, so. Questions? Okay.
Thank you. Now it's time for the superintendent's report.
All right, just one item for you, and I'm happy to report that unlike our last work session that went over 3 hours, we're ahead of schedule tonight. Not that there is one, but just be mindful of your time, and also that we had 2 meetings prior to this. So again, we're moving right along. But tomorrow we'll have one student discipline hearing prior to a retirement party hosted here for Mrs. Harwood and Mr. Hobbs, and sending them off, even though they have another month on their contract. It's just nice to recognize them while all of our employees are still in the area, and hopefully the board will be able to join us for that. Memorial Day next Monday, of course. And then on June 4th, we have a planning meeting, continuing with the design of Phase 2 for the Pocatello High School improvement project there. And so we will be looking at what that might look like more so on the outside. We already have some idea of what it could look like on the inside with the configuration of classrooms and common space and restrooms and just school kind of things, really. And so we'll be doing that at 10 a.m. on June 4th. We will also ask you, just ahead of that meeting, we'll have a kind of a personnel matter with an informal hearing. That'll start we tentatively scheduled that for 9:30. Also, June 5th, we have the Joint Cities County, ISU, and Education meeting, and that is going to be hosted at ISU on the 5th at 2 o'clock.
Do you know where?
I will get that information to you, right? Yeah, it's a big place, right? I don't want you wandering around the campus, so we'll get you a specific. Where is it, Mr. Cheatham?
Littlewood River Room.
Littlewood River Room, so in the sub, then.
Okay. And
Okay.
do you have the graduation schedule anywhere for us?
Graduation, you know what, it's not in here, but Highland High School is at noon. Century High School will be at 3, and Pocatello High School at 6. And then New Horizon will be Friday evening at 6 p.m.
And they usually have a pre-thing that
Oh,
we go to.
Like a family event, family celebration. I have not seen anything on that yet. I'll call Mrs. Prescott or text her and get a date for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll get that to us? Okay. good.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Local Issues Committee on June 14th for a couple of you. And then Father's Day, thanks for including that, Ms. Johnson. I'll be sure to pass that along to my children. Yeah, June 18th is Judge Murray's Juvenile Justice Committee.
Judge Murray's meeting is on the 11th of June.
Oh, bumping it up a week, huh? Okay, we'll make that change. And then that takes us out to the regular board meeting on June 18th, and Independence Day on the 4th, and a little bit lighter schedule for you with the summer months. And that is it for me, Mr. Mattson.
Okay. Next up, it's a time for public comment for pertinent to action items or agenda items. And since I haven't received any requests, we'll move on. Let's see, action items. The first one is to approve alternate route to graduation request.
You know, we didn't, did we get these internships? Did we ever hear about the internships?
Yeah, we didn't talk about those, did we?
No.
Oh, no, they were on the consent agenda.
Were they,
okay?
oh, they were on the
Yeah.
consent?
Yes, it's
Okay.
under
That's
the
right.
HR report.
All right.
Consent agenda.
Okay,
HR activity
I'm sorry.
report.
I'm-
I spaced it too.
Yeah.
Just remembered.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I'll
Okay.
move that we approve the alternate route to graduation requests.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. passes. The second item is to adopt amended 2019-2020 school district calendar.
I move that we adopt the amended 2019-20 school district calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes. And let's see, approve out-of-state overnight travel requests.
I move we approve the out-of-state overnight travel
I'll
request.
second.
Seconds. Probably no discussion.
No.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. To approve camp requests.
I move that we approve the camp requests.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. So let's see.
You're on, Jaden.
I can't find it in my thing.
Page 6. Page 6, if you go up to the top, where it says,
Clear to the top.
yeah, well, at the top of your page,
Mine wouldn't come up either. I had to
Yeah.
go to page 6.
Did you hit enter?
Okay,
got it.
Okay.
we've done early graduation.
Approve early graduation
I move
request.
that we approve early graduation.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next one is approve the use of district football helmets and pads for summer football camps.
I move we approve the use of district football helmets and pads for the summer football camps.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving forward here on first reading, policy number 8101, attendance of students.
I move that we hear on first reading, policy 8101.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, move on to the next one. Award of bids. And that is for bread, buses for Head Start, fresh fruits and vegetable program, food items, food service, smallwares, food service supplies, instructional supplies, and milk,
I move that we approve those bids.
as
I will
stated.
second.
As stated. Yeah. Okay, any discussion? Probably not.
A mind reader.
I like strawberry milk.
You do, that's the first time I've ever seen that.
I've never had the strawberry
I don't know.
milk. They only had chocolate when I was in school. And only on Wednesdays.
Ask for it, dude. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, hearing none opposed. Transfer remaining unexpended wellness program dollars to the VIBA Trust Fund.
I move we transfer those remaining unexpected wellness program dollars to the VIBA Trust Fund.
I'll second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Last item, delegate authority to the superintendent to hire throughout the summer months.
I move that we delegate the authority to the superintendent to hire throughout the summer months.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, you got it. And that's it.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second.
do we have to vote on that?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wanted to discuss it, though.
You want, oh, okay.
Whether or not we adjourn?
Okay, we're adjourned. That's enough.
Okay.
Maybe we should have longer meetings.